Hi everyone, I thought I'd continue my series on the layout itself, the rolling stock, locomotives, couplings, operational, that kind of thing this week. And I think we'll move on to the coaches, the wagons, the couplings and the operations in this video. So I'll start with the coaches. I'll just bring this train forward a bit. So in terms of coaches on the layout, I've got mainly British Railways Mark 1 coaches because the layout's set in the 50s and 60s. I've got a few different types. Some of them are Hornby, some of them are Bachmann. I'll just move this out of the way. Right, so this first one in the rake is a Bachmann coach. The second one is a Hornby railroad coach, and I've mixed these in the same rake basically. The Bachmann ones are more detailed. When you kind of run them in the same rake, you can't really tell, and the Hornby railroad ones are quite a bit cheaper really. So you might be able to see that a little bit better in this clip. See, the roof's a bit dusty there, I need to get around to cleaning that. So this one's the Bachmann coach, which you can see it is just a little bit more detailed than this this Hornby coach, but when they're in the same rake, I really don't think it matters. I don't really think you can tell. I think the Hornby ones are a bit easier to pull apart, so I've put some people in that one. But if you look closely, you can see that those two on the end there are Bachmann ones. That one's a Hornby. So it's just a little bit of difference in the way they look. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to make this video is because I experimented and tried all sorts of different couplings to try and get close coupling between coaches, but would still reliably go around radius 2 curves. I really wanted to kind of get rid of the gap in between the coaches so you could see minimal daylight, things like that. So I've tried everything, and I just kind of wanted to share what I'd done to kind of find a good solution. So I started off with these, the good old tension lock coupling, but you get a big gap between the coaches using that. Not ideal, so I wanted to switch to something else. So originally I used one of these, which come with the Bachmann coaches, and each end of this slots into the NEM socket just there. They're pretty good, you get good close coupling. The problem is you have to run the carriages in set rakes because they're permanently coupled at any one time, which is okay, but now I've got the two separate layouts which are in different locations. I need to transport the stock between the two, even though I do have rakes on both layouts at any one time. So they weren't ideal for me, and they're a bit annoying. Like sometimes I'd knock a coach over and I'd knock every single coach in the whole rake over and, you know, destroy scenery and all sorts. It caused a bit of a nightmare. So that wasn't ideal either, so I wanted to look for something else. One benefit of using those is I could use these. I've got these coach gangways fitted. I think I got these from eBay for about £2.99 or something. You get a big pack, or you could probably just make them yourself. With this style of coupling, I found that I could have one gangway fitted on this side and another gangway fitted on the other side, so I could have absolutely no daylight shown between each, both the carriages, which was quite good. So that's one benefit of using that method, but I felt the negatives kind of outweighed those positives. The other problem I had with this one is because I've got mixed rakes of coaches from different brands, the NEM socket just under there is not at the same height, which wasn't too much of a problem with these, but when I tried the American style Buckeye KD couplings on rakes of coaches, it caused a problem because the coaches wouldn't couple together because they were the wrong height. And you know, I could mess around with and try and sort that out, but I don't think it was worth the hassle, to be honest. So in the end, the kind of best solution that I have found is these, and a lot of people are using these at the minute. It's the Keen Systems magnetic couplers. So they just fit inside the NEM socket there. I've actually glued this one in because it was a bit loose. So this one's got an A on the bottom. The one on the other side will have a B on the bottom. So you can only have the rakes coupled in a certain way, so the A and B's face each other, obviously. On the end of this brake coach, for example, I've just got a regular KD coupling. So I've found with these Keen System coaches, or couplings, sorry, I get a pretty decent close coupling between the two. There's a tiny gap, you know, that you can see a little bit, but overall I think it's solid, pretty good. You can see the slight height difference there. You can see that the coupling on the Bachmann one is slightly higher than the Hornby one. I think you can just about pick that up. I'll try and get the camera to focus. So you can see it's kind of slanting up to the right. With these couplings, that is not a problem at all because they're quite flexible. So you can have different coaches coupled that have completely different NEM socket heights, which is absolutely brilliant. I can kind of mix and match the rakes at will, really, which is great. So it's completely kind of got rid of that problem. So on these two coaches, I haven't managed to fit any gangways. I just kind of had to trial and error it, really. There's only a small gap with these two. With it, kind of, it's different for every coach, even if they're the same brand of coaches, I found. This one I've managed to get away with a gangway on there, and this one's just got the plain one. So there's very little gap there, if any. This one, the same, just got the gangway there that's closed up that gap nicely. Same there. Right, so that's the Mark 1s done. Yeah, those Keen Systems couplings, I'll leave a link in the description, but I'd really recommend them if you fancy getting a couple of packs. It just makes life a lot easier. You can have all your coach rakes nicely close coupled together, and it makes a really big difference. I'll just reverse the train back a little bit so you can see how I've done the ends. Right, so I use KD couplings for all the locomotives, the wagons, and on the ends of the coaching rakes. So you can see it in there. I found them to be really reliable. They're way less, way better looking than the KD couplings. They're just much more, I don't know, obtrusive, I guess. I do kind of snip the pins off a bit because I know you can fit magnets and all sorts under the track. That's not for me. I've got no interest in doing that. I just like the kind of reliable close coupling you get, and how they look. So to uncouple them, I've got a little tool that will just stick down the top, or just lift it off like that. You know, it doesn't bother me having to just do those kind of things by hand, to be honest, but you could fit magnets under if you wanted to as well. Right, so I'll run that train off the layout now. The only other thing to be said is I found the magnets to be really quite strong as well in the between the coaches. Like I'll often run, you know, sometimes up to a 15 coach rake on the main layout, and I have no problems with them randomly uncoupling or anything like that. And I've got a third radius curve in the tunnel there, and they go around there absolutely no problems at all. Right, so that last part of the video kind of covers any coaches that have NEM pockets, but in regards to older stock that has the old kind of screw-on couplings and things like that, I've kind of had to find a different way to couple those together. What you could do is on these older bullied coaches, for example, I think these are the old Bachmann ones, you could just get some of the Keen system couplings and just glue them, snip off the old coupling, that's what I've done, and just glue those on the bottom, and then you could have them kind of interchangeable with your other coaches too. That's probably what I'd do. In this case though, I had a few of these old style KDs left over as well, which have just kind of got the screw section on them rather than the NEM socket. So what I've done is just literally super glue these onto the bottom, just kind of experiment with the distance there, and then I've put the paper gangway on as well. And if I just put this back on the track, right, there we go, and I'll couple them up together to give them a push. So the close coupling is really pretty good there with the KDs on this kind of thing, and there's virtually no gap between them as well. And these get round second radius curves absolutely no problem. They're some of the best running coaches I've got, even though they're the kind of older version as well. So yeah, they're really solid. And then I've just got the KD on the end there too. So yeah, if I was to fit the magnetic couplings onto these as well, I could have them interchangeable with the Mark 1s, but I tend to run these bullied coaches just as a set 6 coach rake, to be honest, so I'll probably just leave those as the KDs for now. Right, next up is goods, stock and wagons and parcels as well. So I've just run a train out the tunnel now with the trusty V1 on the, oh sorry, not V1, V2 on the front. Right, so for wagons, it all just depends on the rolling stock, to be honest. So I've just, basically when I get something new, I just kind of wing it and see if I can get it to fit with the rest of the rake. So I use KD couplings on all of the goods wagons just because the close coupling you get is really good. This is a kit built wagon, so I've just completely botched it there. I've just stuck a bit of plastic card on the bottom, then glued one of these old KDs onto the bottom of each end. That's literally it, and that all I've just done that just to try and get the height right so they connect with the other ones. The weight's a bit loose in there, but yeah, it runs pretty well. A bit easier with the kind of newer stock. You see there, I've just stuck a couple of KDs in the NEM pockets. The trick with the wagons is there's various different lengths of KD couplings. Some you kind of want to go for the shortest ones you can get away with. So I think these are 17s, which are the shortest ones, so you get the closest coupling. They won't always work, so I'd just buy a few packs and just kind of see what you can get away with, or just buy a pack and kind of test it out on a few different things. But yeah, I find them to be like super reliable and great for kind of shunting and coupling up and things like that. So again, this next wagon is another kind of botch job there. I've just kind of messed around until I've got the height right with a bit of plastic card on the bottom, but you can't see any of that when they're on the track. But there are certain wagons that I kind of have to have in a certain configuration, as you'll see in a minute, just because the NEM socket height between manufacturers is wildly different. Right, lastly, the goods wagons. So again, I've just got KD couplings fitted to these, so you can get pretty good close coupling between the stock. In terms of you can see the kind of issue with the heights there. So these two work okay, but if the wagon on the right, if the thing was any higher, it struggled to connect. The weirdest thing is these two wagons are from the same manufacturer, so why would the NEM socket height be completely different? I don't know, but it tends to work okay. These ones tend to be fine. That one again it would be another potentially problematic one. You can see the one on the left is so much higher than the right. Again, Bachmann wagon. So I don't know what the deal is there. You could easily adjust it, but it works for me. So I'm not going to mess around with it if it's working fine. Again, these are all mixtures of 17s, 18s, and maybe the occasional 19. But yeah, the KDs are the way to go, I think, in terms of goods wagons. They're pretty expensive now. They've gone up a lot in the last year or so. But yeah, if you can get away with it, I'd go for it. And then lastly, in terms of modifications and things to the good stock, all I've done is weather everything. Stuck a brake light on the end of the brake van, not always in the right place for the type of train that it is, but it's better than nothing. And then yeah, everything's weathered, using the kind of usual methods that I've shown on the channel as well. A couple of other things. Tarpaulins, I've added some tarpaulins to certain wagons and got ropes on there as well. They're made by Geoscenics. They're super easy to kind of put on and weather, and they look great. So I'll stick a link to those in the description as well. I definitely recommend those. I think that's it in terms of modifications. I've added some sleepers, some barrels and things like that in this kind of engineering wagon there, another tarpaulin, and then some coal in the coal wagons. Other than that, all the good stock is left as is. Right, I think that's about it. I hope you enjoyed that little summary of the rolling stock on the layout, but it took me quite a while to kind of figure out what worked for me and what I liked, and how I could get nice close coupled coaches and wagons that were reliable, didn't derail regularly, and ran really smoothly. So hopefully it's helpful if you're looking to achieve that on your own layout as well. So thank you for watching, and speak to you next week.